Klarna, Gorilla, SumUp, Contest, Getir, and a lot of other startups here in Germany, particularly startups here in Berlin, have one thing in common at the moment. There is a big wave of layoffs happening. I keep seeing these messages and posts on my LinkedIn feed all the time, and I know that this is something that's a very shocking situation if you are experiencing this right now, and also if you're nervous of losing your job, then of course this is also something that's making you very tense, right? And that's why I have decided to make a video where I'm going to explain to you what the first steps should be after receiving these news from your supervisor or someone in the company. So the first thing I want to point out is that if you just learned that you will be losing your job, never sign anything right away. Take time to digest the news, because this will often come as a shock. Right, and you have the right to take your time and to review the papers the company is giving you and to think about the situation. I'm particularly saying this because there are situations where the company is not allowed to fire you, for instance, if you are pregnant. Also, you may have an option to come up with a settlement agreement where the company pays you a sum of money. And I think it's also important to get a bit of an understanding of the legal situation before you sign anything. So this is just the first thing I always tell people who are in this situation: don't sign anything right away. If you just learned the news, maybe you can ask your boss to take the rest of the day off to digest the news, take some time with your friends and family or at home, whatever works out best for you. Now, before I move on, I just want to say that I know that losing your job can come with a loss of self-confidence and a lot of uncertainty in general. Very often, of course, there are economic or financial reasons for losing your job, and that's something we can see going on at the moment. So if that's the case, it's not your fault. Then you maybe just had bad luck because you were one of the last persons joining the company, and that's why you had to go. So this could be one of the reasons. And then, of course, it's still frustrating. But it doesn't mean that you don't have good skills and that you're not a good employee. And of course, it's also important to take an honest look at the situation and figure out if you have also contributed to this, because there can be different reasons for losing your job, right? And if there were conflicts, if the projects didn't work out the way they were supposed to, so if you lost your job because there was disagreement or an issue with the tasks you were supposed to work on, then it's of course also important to ask yourself why exactly it was the way it was. But there are also situations where it's just not a good match, where the team doesn't really work out well, and where the company culture is not a company and work culture that you like and that you feel happy with. And in that case, you are probably better off with a new job that you will hopefully find soon. For this, you can find a lot of input on this YouTube channel and also on our HalloGermany website. We do have a job board there. We also offer career coaching if you feel that you need to brush up your profile and if you want to work on your skills, on your interview skills, for instance. So do take a look at that. And I think there are also a lot of other helpful resources out there. So you can also take a look at the list of job platforms on our website, for instance, where you will find a lot of other job search engines that you can make use of for your job search. After taking some time to digest the bad news, I would definitely recommend you to review the options. I'm not going to talk about settlement agreements and settlement sums in detail here in this video, because it's a whole different topic that's also kind of complex and very individual. But if you feel that a settlement sum would be appropriate, or also that the way you were fired or the reasons why you lost your job are not really appropriate or not fair, then I think it's definitely worth it to talk to a lawyer. And in many cases, the first consultation with an employment lawyer is free of charge. So in this first consultation, you often have just a general review of your case and discuss your options. And I would definitely recommend you to go for a consultation if you are in this situation and if you feel that you need a bit of support to make sure that everything is handled right. Secondly, I would definitely ask your boss for another meeting where you plan the next steps. And the first thing you definitely need to discuss, apart from a potential settlement sum, is to talk about when your last day of work is going to be. If you feel very uncomfortable in your current situation of, still going to work although you know that you're losing your job, then you can also ask your boss if they can release you a bit earlier. And that's something I see very, very often, that companies do pay the salary until the end of the contract, but you don't have to go to work and you're released a bit earlier. Also, you have the right to take the remaining number of vacation days that you have left until your work contract ends. So this is also definitely something I would plan on together with your boss, apart from the handover of your topics that you have to do. Another thing you should definitely discuss is how the communication in the company is going to be. If you feel very uncomfortable with communicating the fact that you lost your job, you could also agree on a different storyline with your supervisor. This is something that happens very often. Of course, if you are working for a company like Gorillas at the moment, I think Gorillas just fired 300 employees, then that's a very high number. And I guess in that case, there will probably not be an individual agreement on the storyline. In that case, you're most probably just losing your job for economic or financial reasons, and then there will not be an individual storyline. But if there are just a few persons leaving the company, or if it's just you, then I would definitely make sure that the way this is communicated and also the point of time when this is communicated is okay for you and works well for you. Another thing I would ask for is a reference letter. Reference letters are very common here in Germany and very important when you want to apply for new jobs, right? And it's very common if you lose your job to negotiate that nothing bad will be written in your reference letter. It's usually part of the agreement. If you lost your job because there were conflicts, maybe with your team or your supervisor, so if there's a personal reason for this, or other reasons than financial reasons, then you can agree on still getting a good reference letter to make sure that you don't have trouble finding a new job. So again, here it's important to discuss the storyline. If the company is letting you go because of financial reasons, then make sure that this is also written in the reference letter. Make sure that it doesn't just say, unfortunately, we had to cancel the employment contract and so on. Make sure that there's a reason, that they write down that this was due to economic or financial reasons, because this will give your next employer, the next HR person who's reviewing your profile, an understanding that it was not your fault and that you did perform well, but that you lost your job due to the financial situation of the company you were working for. If you end up in a situation where you cannot find a job right away, or if you simply need a break, then I think it's really important to talk about finances and to make sure that you have a situation where you get financial support. And here in Germany, you have the option to apply for unemployment benefits at the Federal Employment Agency. This is the case if you have been working as an employee in Germany for 12 months minimum over the last 30 months, and if you have been contributing to unemployment insurance. So if you are an employee in Germany, you are automatically contributing to unemployment insurance. This is something you will see when you take a look at your payslip. If you are applying for unemployment benefits for the first time, then you are eligible for something called Arbeitslosengeld 1, and this is something you can receive for 12 months. I'm going to put a link for you here in the comments where you will find more information about this. And there are also online calculators where you can calculate how much money you would get. And this financial support is calculated on the average salary that you received over the last 12 months. So you have to hand in some pay slips for that, and then it will be calculated based on that. There is a maximum income threshold. It varies a bit depending on where you live in Germany. Currently in 2022, it ranges somewhere between 80,000 and 85,000, I think. So the maximum income threshold means that if you make more than that, for instance, if you earn 100,000 euros a year, then the maximum amount that will be used as a basis to calculate your unemployment benefits will be something between 80 and 85,000. So again, for this, you can use one of the online calculators that are available. I think they are very, very helpful. To make sure that you can apply for this financial support later on, it's really important to register as a job seeker with the Federal Employment Agency as soon as you have been notified of the cancellation of your work contract, and as soon as you know when the last day of work is coming up. So for this, you can go on the website, on the online portal of the Federal Employment Agency, and you can register there as a job seeker. And then later on, once your last day of work has passed, you can apply for unemployment benefits. You can register as unemployed with them, and currently you can also do this online. But it's really important, and that's a prerequisite, to already register in advance before losing your job. So just make sure that you don't miss out on this. It's a very easy step. You can do it online, so I think it shouldn't be much of a problem, but don't miss out on this. So the good thing, naturally, if you get unemployment benefits, is that you have a financial situation that's more stable, and that allows you to really focus on your job search. But there are also a few things you need to do besides applying for this kind of financial support. The Federal Employment Agency will also cover your health insurance. And this means that you have to notify them whenever you leave the country and whenever you're planning to travel, even if you're just traveling to a different city in Germany. So this is something where you will need an approval by the Federal Employment Agency. I'm particularly pointing this out because I know that if you have a gap in between jobs, for instance, this is usually a very, very good point of time to travel and maybe spend some time with your family back home. And this is just something you should keep in mind, that you cannot just easily leave the country for several weeks and get unemployment benefits in the meantime. Also, you will have to prove that you are actively looking for a job and that you're writing job applications. So this depends a bit on your caseworker. Usually you have a meeting with your caseworker in the beginning, and then you will discuss your job search strategy. And you will have to show that you are sending out applications. So in case you are not eligible for unemployment benefits, or in case you decide not to apply for unemployment benefits, then just make sure that you keep in mind that you have to pay for the health insurance yourself. So it's very important to inform the health insurance of your change of status. And then in that case, you usually have to pay a minimum fee for health insurance that's currently around 300 euros for public health insurance. For private health insurance, it's a bit different because the fee you pay doesn't depend on the money you make, so it will remain the same amount as it was when you were still working in your job. So do inform your health insurance when you are not making money, because you don't want to end up having bad surprises. Maybe in the year later you will get a letter by your health insurance and they will ask about this, and then you will end up paying a sum to them later on. So I think it's much better if you inform them right away, and just keep this in mind when you calculate and plan your financial situation. And this brings me to the last step, and that's the immigration office. If you are here on a visa and residence permit, then your residence permit is usually tied to a specific job here in Germany. It depends a bit on your residence permit status. But you will see this on your residence permit. It usually mentions the employer if you don't have a permanent residence in Germany. And in that case, you have to inform the immigration office of this change. They will usually give you 3 months to find a job. So when you learn of this new situation, make sure that you book an appointment with them or inform them about this so that they can take this into account, and then you can take those 3 months to find a new job. And I know that this sometimes also increases the pressure when you're already in a very tense situation, but I hope that you will manage to find a new job in this time frame and that everything works out well for you. So these were just a few steps, of course, of the many things that you have to think about and take care of when you're losing your job. Of course, the most important thing is to find a new job. So as I mentioned earlier, do take a look at our website and at the other videos on this channel, and feel free to reach out to us at any point of time. Do let us know in the comments what your experience was like, also specifically if you have gone through the situation in the past maybe, and if you have a personal story to share or advice to give to people who are in this situation right now. It would be super helpful to learn about this here. If you liked this video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button right now, turn on the notifications, and I wish you all the best for your future and hope that things will work out well for you.